And children, let me continue. The previous class we have seen the nervous system. Before that I said what is nervous system. It's made up of millions of neurons. Neuron is the basic unit. And human nervous system, it consists of three parts I said. Central nervous system, peripheral nervous system and autonomous nervous system. The central nervous system, the main part is what I said, cerebrum and the spinal cord. Cerebrum I explained in the previous class. Now you have to see spinal cord. It is the extension of cerebrum. That is medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata extends into spinal cord. We'll see what are the parts present in that. How does it function? So spinal cord, it is cylindrical structure. At the backbone, that is from the neck to from the back of the neck to till hip, you can see one continuation of thing is there. That is cylindrical. Cylindrical means what? Tube-like structure it is. So every spinal cord, nearly 32 spinal knots are there. That is structure of spinal cord is given here. See what are the things present in that. It is also like brain. It is also covered by meninges. Spinal cord also covered by meninges. Meninges. How many covers? The brain we have seen 3 covers. That is pia mater, arachnoid membrane. The 3 covers I said. The same like spinal cord also covered by 3 covers. That it extends from the lower end of the medulla and to the first lumbar vertebrate. Okay. There is anterior portion and posterior portion. The anterior is known as so here also that is covered by meninges. The cavity is filled by the fluid. The fluid is known as cerebrospinal fluid. The spinal cord, it is H-shaped. Okay, it has dorsal side and ventral side. Dorsal is known as afferent. Ventral side is known as efferent. E. It controls the reflex action of the body. So what are the points we come across regarding spinal cord? Spinal cord, like brain, it is covered by the meninges. It is nothing else, it is extension. The medulla oblongata, it extends the first part of the spinal cord till last. So it has H-shaped it is. That is dorsal side and ventral side. It is filled in the cavity. The cavity is filled with the fluid. The dorsal side is known as afferent and the ventral side is known as efferent. What is the main function of the spinal cord? It controls the reflex action of the body. See the structure here in 15.6. No. So this is the structure of spinal cord. It is the extension. That is many cords are joined one by one and finally it starts from the neck to till the hip. If it is affected, we should not sit erect like others. So spinal cord, cerebrum, everything is filled by a fluid. The fluid is known as cerebrospinal fluid. That is cerebrum as well as spinal. Cerebrospinal fluid. It filled by cerebrospinal fluid. So what are the function of the fluid? So generally I said very beginning, all the internal organs are protected by the cover to show the importance of internal organ and how much it is important to us. Because they may not be damaged, so it can be covered. And everywhere we can see the fluid, the heart pericardial fluid, the brain's cerebrospinal fluid, like that fluid is there. What are the function of cerebrospinal fluid? Now we have to see the function of cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid. Fluid is what? It's a liquid. So what's the function of it? It acts as the shock absorbing fluid. It is whatever the shock. Immediately we are not affected by the shock. Just 1 second we may be. So the confused state. Then we are coming to relax because of the fluid. Shock absorbing. Okay. It acts as a shock absorbing fluid. It supplies nutrients to the brain. So first you learn the book back questions, afterwards you will learn other important questions. That is, what are the function of cerebrospinal fluid? It controls and removes waste from the brain. Because cerebrospinal fluid, no, it removes waste from the brain, and it also responsible for maintaining a constant pressure inside the cranium, because cerebrum is kept inside the cranium box. So it controls the pressure of the cranium box. Cranium is the place where brain is placed. So the cavity is filled by cerebrospinal fluid. What is the function of it? It is working as a shock absorbing liquid, and it supplies nutrients to the brain, and it removes the waste from the brain, and it controls the pressure of the cranium, control the pressure of the brain. Clear? These are the function of cerebrospinal fluid. Now we have to see what is reflex action. There are two kinds of action, I said, no, reflex action. Reflex action. A reflex, that is, any response that occurs automatically without consciousness. Reflex action, it stimulus, a thing occurs without our consciousness. Consciousness means what? Without knowing. The function is going on without knowing ourselves. For example, yawning, winking of the height, yawning, that is kotabi vidron solram paranga adu. Then winking of our eye, kan symmetry, this and all not in our control. Without our consciousness, without our knowledge, some actions are happen. These actions are known as reflex action. That is, actions without. Okay, then. So, actions without conscience. Conscious, our knowledge. Reflex actions, the actions which are occur without our knowledge is known as reflex action. So further we can divide them into simple reflex action and acquired reflex action. One is simple, other one is acquired. By the name itself you can say simple. That is by birth, automatically, without nothing, without practice, we occur this can happen. That is simple reflex action. Because of the practice it has happened, that is acquired reflex action. So simple reflex action, they are inbuilt and unlearned responses. That is by birth we have with us. That is not learnt in middle. From the birth we have. So for example, we say winking of the eyes, sneezing, coughing, yawning, etc. Acquired, not like that. These are the actions, practice and learning because of practice. For example, playing harmonium. First you learn the harmonium. From the birth you don't know how to play the harmonium. After playing harmonium, we have practiced with that, and without you seeing, we can touch the keys. Keys as a thing, what I said, pokes, whatever it may be, we are striking the particular, we know, because of the practice, without seeing that, we can touch, we can know, with the thing you have to touch and produce the sound. For example, sometimes we are thinking about, mind is not with us, we are going on thinking over and we are going to our house. The legs, because it's practice to the direction where it has to go, it will automatically take to you to your house. Actually, you are not conscious. You are thinking over something. Your conscious is entirely on the brain is doing some other work. Then because of practice, your legs take you to home. This kind of actions is known as acquired actions. Acquired because of practice. So, by birth we got the action means that is simple reflex action. After practice we are getting the actions that is known as what? Acquired actions. For example, playing instruments without seeing because our hands practice to that the particular key touch panna and the sound varum. So, without seeing the same like we are going to our house or some other practiced places we are going without the knowledge of us, we are moving to the place that is known as what? Acquired reflex actions. Okay, now we have to see how the reflex action takes place. We said, no, whether it is involuntary actions only, how does it takes place? It takes place in 5 stages. What are the stages? For example, you are touching the hard plate. As soon as you touch the hard plate, you feel that hardness in your hands. Immediately just you have taken back our hands. Why? Because the heat receptors, it received the shock. First one, heat receptors. First stage what I said. Receptors, those who are collecting. It receives the message. Then it passes to sensory neuron. Second, it passes to sensory. Senses mean what? That is the feelings. No. Sensory neuron. It takes to sensory neuron. Sensory neuron take this message to spinal cord. Then spinal cord interrupts the stimulus and passed on to the relay neuron. Next it goes to spinal cord. From the spinal cord, it goes to relay neuron. Relay means it is passing the relay. Relay and all we are doing, relay order number. That is one stick you are giving to other. You are giving this connection to that. This is relay. From the spinal cord, the message goes to relay neuron. From the relay neuron, it goes to motor neurons. That's why I said there are millions of neurons in our nervous system. It goes to motor neuron. From the motor neuron, it goes to muscle, and muscle act according to that. The brain bearing goes and muscle immediately takes away from the heart. This is the thing. This is the things happening. Reflex action. Next, what's the system? Peripheral nervous system, that is PNS. So already we have seen central nervous system. So central nervous system only occupies the biggest part. Now next one is peripheral nervous system, that is PNS. Peripheral nervous system, it's formed by the nerves arising from the brain and spinal cord. That too from where? From brain and spinal cord only. It's otherwise known as cranial nerves and spinal nerves. So peripheral nervous system consists of cranial and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves how many? 12 pair. And spinal nerve 31 pairs. So peripheral nervous system also arises from cerebrum only. So cranial 12 nerves and spinal nerve 31 nerves, all together they form the peripheral nervous system. Next one is autonomic nervous system, that is ANS. So it regulates the function of internal visceral organs. So that is, it has 2 kinds of components, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So it controls the involuntary function of visceral organ. Visceral means visible, that is visual organs. It controls the function of visceral organs. So we have completed this lesson. Nervous system. Nervous system, I said, the basic unit of nervous system is neuron. Okay, the nervous system responds to stimulus together. It has 3 parts: neuron, neuroglia and nerve fibers. And structure of neuron we have seen already. If it is, what are the parts present in the neuron? Cyton, dendrites and axon. There are 3 kinds of neuron, I said, unipolar, bipolar and multipolar. Then there are 2 kinds of nerves, that is myelinated and non-myelinated. And out nerves messages travels, I said already. And human nervous system, it consists of three, that is parasympathetic central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. Central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. Brain is covered by three covers, I said, dura mater, arachnoid membrane, and pia mater. Dura mater is outer membrane, arachnoid membrane is middle membrane, and pia mater is the inner membrane. All the three covers together is known as what? Meninges. Structure of cerebrum. What are the parts consist of cerebrum means? Cerebellum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata, and pons. Cerebrum, it further divided into forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Forebrain consists of cerebrum and thalamus. Cerebrum, it is the biggest part. I said, what are the function of cerebrum? I said in the morning, that is reasoning, all the functions. And the important point is corpus callosum. What is corpus callosum means? Two cerebral hemispheres are interconnected by thick band of nerve. They are known as corpus callosum. And what are the function? What are the function of cerebrum? Thinking, intelligence, consciousness, memory, imagination, reasoning, and willpower. And next to cerebrum, what is there? Diencephalon. It is thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus acts as the relay center. Hypothalamus is functioned as thermoregulatory center. And next to the thing, hindbrain, and next to hindbrain, midbrain is this, forebrain, next to forebrain, midbrain. Here we have seen four rounded blocks, four rounded bodies, that is known as what? Corporo quadrigemina. Hindbrain, it consists of pons and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum, I said, it's mainly for the balancing our body. It's the smallest part present in that. And pons, the meaning that is bridge, it's connected both cerebrum and cerebellum. Then pons extends into medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata, this is a connection that enters, it develops into spinal cord. So either spinal cord or everything is covered by a membrane. So what are the functions? Cerebral cortex, thalamus, hypothalamus, cerebellum, pons, the functions are given. The spinal cord, I said, it's a cylindrical structure. It is S-shaped, anterior and posterior. Anterior is known as, that is dorsal is known as afferent, ventral is known as efferent. What's the function of spinal cord? It controls the reflex action. And it's covered by a fluid. The cavity is covered by a fluid. The fluid is what? Cerebrospinal fluid, I say. And what are the function of the cerebrospinal fluid? We have seen already. It acts as the shock absorbing. It supplies nutrients to the brain. It removes the waste from the brain, and it controls the pressure of the cranium. That is, brain is kept in the cranium box only. Reflex action, I said already. That is, without our knowledge, without conscience, we are doing action. These actions are known as reflex action. Further, we can divide the reflex action into two. That is simple and acquired. Simple by birth. For example, winking of eye, yawning, everything. Acquired, because of practice we got this. And this is known as acquired reflex action. For example, what I say, we can practice the instruments. From the beginning, we don't know how to play the instrument. After certain time, after learning so many years together, we practice this thing. That is known as what? Acquired. So, acquired from that, how it passes from the 4 stages. For example, when you touch the hot plate, immediately you are taking out. That is because of the heat. The heat receptor takes the message to sensory neuron. That is feels. From the sensory neuron, it goes to spinal cord. Spinal cord interrupt and it sends the message to the relay center. From the relay center, it goes to the motor neuron. From the motor neuron, the brain orders, and it immediately it comes to the muscle, and we are taking out the muscle. That is and from the hot plate. These are the stages. And I said cranial nerves and spinal nerves. That is peripheral nervous system. It's made up of cranial and spinal. Cranial, how many nerves are there? 12 pair of nerves. And spinal system, 31 pair of nerves. Then autonomous nervous system. It is made up of sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve. It controls the visceral organs. So we have completed this lesson.